Commander Jake Evans wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stepped into the research bay of Station Omega-12, orbiting a strange gas giant far outside Federation borders. The station was home to some of the most advanced human-alien scientific experiments in the galaxy and a lot of tight schedules and tension. Jake, however, brought something else to the table: calm confidence, a cocky smile, and a body built like he bench-pressed spaceship parts for fun. He wasn't here for science, he was security liaison from Earth, but everyone on the station knew if he needed something fixed. Carried, or let's be honest, just someone tall to reach a high shelf. You called, Jake. Today, though it wasn't shelves that needed help. Commander Evans, a soft voice called out as he entered the xenobiological augmentation lab. Jake turned and nearly dropped the datapad he was carrying. Zara, the lead alien scientist on Station Omega-12, stood in the center of the lab, surrounded by strange glowing panels. She was a zillion tall and graceful, with smooth violet skin, eyes like polished turquoise, and hair like flowing white silk pulled into a neat ponytail. She wore a standard brown research uniform, but on her it somehow looked not so standard. Doctor Zara, Jake replied, clearing his throat and doing his best not to stare. You needed help. Yes, she said, gesturing to a small silver device on the table beside her. This prototype arrived yesterday. It's designed to temporarily manipulate cellular structures, mostly for healing purposes, but it's unmarked, and I'm not sure how to connect it to our system. Jake picked up the device. It looked like a remote with alien writing all over it. No buttons were labeled. And you want me to do what, exactly? Just hold it still while I link it to the terminal, Zara said. Whatever you do, don't press any click. Jake blinked. Oops. A soft hum filled the air as the device lit up. A beam of pale blue light shot out straight at Zara. Buttons, she finished weakly, eyes widening in horror. The light vanished as quickly as it had appeared. Zara stood frozen. Then her eyes darted down. Oh no, Jake's mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. Before his eyes, her chest began to swell. Her already curved figure ballooned in slow motion, the tight fabric of her uniform stretching, creaking, groaning in protest. Zara gasped and tried to cross her arms, but it was already too late. Her violet cheeks flushed deep purple. What did you do to me? Jake's brain short-circuited. I didn't mean to. I think I pressed the size enhancer. This is not funny, she hissed, trying to tug her uniform higher. It didn't help. The station's department heads meet in less than 2 hours. I can't show up like this. Jake tore his eyes away with effort. Okay, let's not panic. There's probably a reverse button. Somewhere, maybe. He turned the device over and pressed another button. Nothing happened. Zara grabbed his wrist. Stop. What if you make them even bigger? Jake froze. Right. Good point. The lab door slid open with a soft hiss. Oh no, Zara whispered. Doctor Vaughn, the station's four-eyed medical officer, stood in the doorway holding a data chip. He blinked at Zara's dramatically expanded chest and blinked again. Then he slowly backed out of the room and let the door shut behind him. Jake turned to Zara. Welp. That went well. She groaned and slumped into a nearby chair. By tomorrow, the entire station will know. Not if we fix it first, Jake said, kneeling beside her. Come on, between the two of us, we'll figure it out. She looked at him with wide, flustered eyes. You mean that? Jake gave her a crooked grin. Hey, I may be the guy who made your situation happen, but I'll also be the one to fix it. Promise. Zara sighed and nodded slowly. All right, but no more buttons. And don't stare. I wasn't, Jake said too quickly. She raised an eyebrow. Okay, a little. They sat side by side at the console, the strange device humming on the table nearby. While the awkwardness still lingered, something unspoken passed between them, something more than just embarrassment and bad timing, something curious, warm, human, and very, very interesting. The lab had never felt smaller. Zara sat stiffly at the control console, trying to ignore how her chest was now pressing into the edge of the desk. The uniform stretched so tightly across her enhanced features that even slight movements felt like a wardrobe malfunction waiting to happen. Jake stood nearby, pretending to focus on the alien device, while absolutely failing not to glance at her. Every few seconds, you're doing it again, Zara said without looking up. Jake flinched. Sorry, it's just hard not to. Her bright blue eyes flicked toward him, unimpressed. Focus, Commander. We have a crisis to solve, right? Total focus, not looking, totally professional. He turned back to the device and squinted at the glowing alien symbols. Okay. This one looks like a DNA strand. That's probably not the one. This one's a spiral. Maybe that's reverse. Zara leaned over, forgetting for a moment what that meant. Her chest bumped into his arm, soft and warm. Jake froze. Zara froze too. Eyes wide. Sorry, she muttered, pulling back and adjusting her uniform again. This is getting ridiculous. Yeah, Jake agreed, rubbing his arm awkwardly. Ridiculously hard to think straight. She gave him a dry look. That's not helping. They both turned back to the console, cheeks burning. Jake tried again to concentrate on the alien device. Do you feel okay? He asked after a moment. Any side effects? Dizziness? Nausea? No, Zara replied. Just inflated. Jake choked on a laugh. She narrowed her eyes. Laugh again and I'll hit you with the other setting. Fair. Zara stood and moved around the lab, her steps exaggerated and careful. The added weight clearly threw off her balance, and her enhanced features swayed with every step. Jake tried very hard not to watch. We need to contact someone, Zara said, grabbing a handheld scanner. Maybe the Galactic Council has support files, something more detailed. Jake frowned. Won't that alert them that something went wrong? They'll find out eventually, Zara replied, scanning herself. Unless we solve this before my meeting. Jake tapped his chin, thinking, okay, what if this device has a memory, like a backup of your original body settings? She blinked. That actually makes sense. I do have the occasional good idea, he said proudly. Zara handed him the scanner and moved back toward the device. Her hand hovered over it cautiously. If I activate it again, carefully, it might show its last calibration. Want me to do it? Jake offered. No, she said firmly. You've done enough. Fair again. Zara pressed a different symbol, this time a rectangle with small dots inside. The device buzzed softly, then displayed a 3D hologram above. Its surface, it was her pre-enhancement. Jake nodded. There you are, the original Zara. I prefer the original, she said quietly. This version feels like a parody. Jake raised an eyebrow. You look amazing either way. But I get it. Not exactly what you signed up for. Her gaze softened. Thank you. The awkward tension between them shifted slightly, from embarrassment to something warmer, something unexpected. Zara gestured to the hologram. Now we just need to match these readings with my current scan and input a reversal signal. Jake nodded. And do it before Dr. Vaughn spreads this all over the mess hall. Zara groaned. He's probably telling everyone already. Want me to threaten him? Jake offered. Tempting, she said with a smirk. But no, let's just fix this. They began working together, comparing biometric data and calibrating inputs. Jake noticed that Zara's hands trembled slightly, and not just from stress. There was something else, nerves, maybe. Vulnerability. I'm sorry, again, Jake said softly. I know, she replied, and, for what it's worth, he added, if this had to happen to someone, I'm glad it happened with you. Zara paused, surprised. That came out wrong, Jake said quickly. I mean, if anyone had to accidentally beam alien boob-enhancing rays, I'm glad I was with someone smart, and cool, and kind of dazzling. Zara stared at him for a moment, then did something unexpected. She laughed, not a snort, not a sigh, a full musical laugh that echoed across the lab. Jake grinned. There it is. Humans, she said, shaking her head, still smiling. You always say the most ridiculous things. It's part of our charm. They returned to the console, working faster now. With each passing moment, the tension dissolved, replaced by teamwork and something else that neither of them dared. Name yet? Zara looked up suddenly. We might actually fix this in time. Jake chuckled. Told you. Commander fix it. She arched an eyebrow. Commander calls it. More like he gave a sheepish shrug. I multitask. As the device began humming with new input, a light flickered along its base. Zara leaned closer. This might be it. Stand by. Jake stood ready, watching as she placed her hand over the device again. The screen blinked. A single alien phrase appeared. Bonding sequence initiated. Jake and Zara exchanged a look. That doesn't sound like a reversal, Jake muttered. Zara's smile vanished. Uh-oh. The words bonding sequence initiated blinked on the alien device's display in soft blue light. Jake leaned forward. Okay, I'm not an expert on alien tech, but that doesn't sound like a boob reset. Zara's eyes widened. It's not. That phrase. It's usually used in neural synchronization devices. Jake blinked. You're saying we're being bonded? I'm saying, she replied carefully, the device thinks we're emotionally compatible. It's trying to link us mentally. There was a long silence. Jake scratched his head. Is that a thing that can actually happen? Between certain species, yes, she said, her voice a mix of awe and dread. The Zelian developed neural empathy tech centuries ago. This prototype must have that system integrated, but it should only activate during medical emergencies, or if both subjects display intense emotional resonance. Jake blinked. Intense. Emotional. Wait, I wasn't emotional. You were the one blushing every 5 seconds. You pressed the button that made my chest the size of a gravity pod. Zara shot back, her blush returning. That definitely counted as emotional stimulation. Before Jake could reply, a soft hum filled the lab again. This time, it wasn't just the device, it was in their heads. Zara staggered slightly, catching herself on the edge of the console. Jake felt something to her, flutter of sensation that wasn't his own. Wait, did you just feel that? He asked. Zara nodded. Slowly, yes, that wasn't you. Nope, Jake said, backing up. But I swear I just got a wave of embarrassment. Yours. Zara's eyes narrowed, and I just felt amusement. Definitely yours. They both stared at each other. Great, Jake muttered. Now we're sharing feelings. What's next? Synchronized crying during sunset. Zara moved to the terminal and began typing furiously. If the bond is still forming, we might be able to disrupt it, but we'll have to act quickly before it becomes permanent. Jake paused. Define. Permanent, full emotional feedback, empathic mirroring, potential subconscious voice sharing. You'd be able to sense what I feel. I'd know what you're thinking. Possibly for life. Jake raised both eyebrows. So basically, marriage without the cake. Zara groaned. You humans are so dramatic. He crossed his arms, amused. You say that like you're not freaking out. I am freaking out, she said, exasperated. I just do it with better posture. The door suddenly whooshed open. Admiral Vorth, a three-legged insectoid with a silver uniform, strode in, clicking impatiently. Dr. Zara, have you completed your analysis for this cycle's report? Zara instinctively moved to block his view, but it was too late. The Admiral's multifaceted eyes scanned her enhanced chest, lingered for a second too long, then swiveled to Jake with something that looked like disapproval or indigestion. It was hard to tell with bug people. We had an equipment malfunction, Zara said quickly. I'll send the report shortly. The Admiral buzzed, unimpressed. Malfunction, indeed. Please keep all biological anomalies contained within medical parameters, Dr. Then. He clicked his way out without another word. Zara slumped. That's it. My career is over. I'll be remembered as the woman who let a human inflate her in a lab. Jake chuckled. Could be worse. You could be remembered as the human who did it. Zara shot him a deadly glare, then laughed. A real one. It surprised both of them. You're impossible, she said. Admit it, Jake replied, smirking. You're starting to like me. Before she could answer, a faint ding came from the device. Synchronization complete. They both froze. Fingers curled against the console. Jake took a breath. Do you feel anything? He asked quietly. Zara paused. Yes, I feel your curiosity, your anxiety, and your, oh stars, are you hungry right now? Jake shrugged. I skipped lunch. You got any of those Zellian snack things? The ones that look like glowing grapes. Zara reached into a drawer without looking and tossed him a packet. There, and yes, they glow because of phosphorus. Don't eat more than 2 or your pee will turn blue. Jake took a bite and chewed worth it. Zara leaned against the console, watching him with narrowed eyes. This bond is going to get very complicated. Why? Jake asked with a mouthful of grape glow. Because you'll know every time I admire your enhanced assets. No, she said, face heating again. Because now I'll know every time you try not to. He gave her a slow, cheeky grin. Then I guess I'd better not try at all. Her eyes widened. A wave of flustered heat rolled off her so strong that Jake actually staggered. Too much? He asked. Way too much. She replied, laughing despite herself. They stood there, bonded by accident, blushing for different reasons, but both very aware of one new truth. This wasn't just a lab accident anymore. It was the start of something they didn't understand, but weren't ready to undo either. The soft hum of the bond didn't fade with time it grew. It pulsed in the background of Jake's thoughts, like an invisible thread, always tugging toward Zara. Her presence wasn't just physical anymore. He felt her waves of emotion rising and falling like distant tides, brushing against his own. Jake leaned over the console, pretending to read through alien diagnostics, but his mind was 1,000 light-years away. Zara was on the opposite side of the lab, back turned, adjusting her makeshift fabric wrap for the 20th time. And each time she did, Jake felt her frustration, her self-consciousness, something else desire, not just his. Hers, too. You're broadcasting again, Zara said, without turning around. Jake coughed. Sorry. Still getting used to the whole shared headspace thing. It's like being trapped in a closet with someone who keeps thinking about undressing you, she muttered. Jake raised his hands in mock surrender. Hey, not entirely my fault. You're the one walking around like a sci-fi pinup girl. She spun to face him, eyes wide. You did this to me, and I said I was sorry, he said, backing up. Besides, you're making it worse by looking that good in my vest. Zara paused. Wait, is that why your heart rate just spiked? Jake glanced at the biometric scanner on the console. His vitals were clearly displayed, pulse up, skin temp rising. Okay, he said, trying to stay calm. Let's just take a step back from each other, literally. They each stepped to opposite sides of the lab. The air buzzed between them like static, but it wasn't helping. You're still thinking loud, she said, her voice quiet now. Jake exhaled. So are you. There was silence, but it wasn't empty. Their emotions swirled together, awkwardness, attraction, curiosity. Zara was embarrassed, but behind it was something raw, vulnerability, longing. I haven't felt this before, she admitted softly, her gaze locked on the floor. We Zellians don't bond with outsiders. We don't share like this. Jake took a slow step toward her, and now. Zara looked up, her blue eyes glowing faintly. Now I know what you feel when you look at me. It's intense. Jake gave a nervous chuckle. You should feel what I feel when you touch me. I did, she said quietly. Earlier, when I leaned on your arm. It was like warmth racing up my spine, like your body sang to mine. That did something to Jake. He moved closer, his voice dropping. So this bond, it's not just emotional. Zara shook her head. It's chemical, physical, telepathic, sensory, every layer, connected, and it's growing stronger. Jake stopped inches from her. So what happens if it gets too strong? She looked up at him, her voice barely a whisper. We won't be able to hide it. A surge of heat passed through the bond. Neither of them moved. The air between them was alive, tense, electric, charged with something ancient and new. Then Zara's hand reached out, slow and hesitant, brushing against Jake's chest, and he felt everything, her attraction, her fear, her hope. His breath caught. Zara, she leaned in, just enough to press her forehead against his. Their eyes closed. I don't want to fight this, she whispered. Not anymore. Then don't, Jake said, his hands rising, to hold her by the waist. They stayed like that, sharing warmth and silence. No words, no defenses, just connection, then beep. The lab door whooshed open. Again, Dr. Vaughn stood there, again, this time with 3 other scientists behind him. Zara shrieked and stumbled backward, tripping over a data crate and landing on her very padded rear. Jake turned, mortified, blocking her from view with his body, We were calibrating," he said too loudly. Dr. Vaughn blinked, clearly. The door closed again without another word. Zara groaned, covering her face with both hands. "I want to melt into a floor tile." Jake offered her a hand up, grinning. "Well, if it's any consolation, I think Vaughn now ships us." She took his hand and pulled herself up. "This bond is a disaster." Jake looked at her, serious now. "Or maybe it's a miracle." Zara stared at him. "Think about it," he said. "This tech was made for diplomacy, for building bridges. Maybe we're the first test, the first success." Her expression softened. "You really believe that?" Jake nodded. "And I believe, whatever this is between us, it's real." Zara stepped forward, chest rising and falling. Jake felt her decision before she said it. "Then let's stop running from it," she whispered, and this time, when they kissed, there were no accidents, no buttons, no jokes, just two hearts, human and alien, finally letting the bond become something more. Zara adjusted her uniform in the mirror, trying to ignore how snug it still felt across her chest. Even after recalibrating the device, the changes hadn't fully faded. But that wasn't her main concern anymore. The real issue was the Galactic Council's inspection team, who would arrive in less than 10 minutes, and they'd brought a telepath. Jake stood behind her, arms crossed, freshly showered and dressed in full Federation formal. But the rogue curl falling over his forehead and that ever-present smirk gave away the truth. He was still the same rule-breaking, button-pressing human she'd somehow fallen for. "Last chance to run," Jake said. Zara gave him a sharp look. "From the Council or from us?" Jake stepped closer, his voice soft. "From neither, I meant. If you're not ready, I'll take the blame. I'll say it was all me." Zara shook her head. "That wouldn't work. I'd know you were lying." He grinned. "You do know me pretty well now." Their bond, still glowing faintly beneath the surface, was more than just telepathic. At this point, it was emotional, instinctive, and intimate. They could feel each other's anxiety, excitement, affection. A shared heartbeat between species. Zara took a deep breath. "Let's go." The council chamber aboard station Omega-12 was a sleek dome of glass and light, overlooking the swirling gas giant below. Council members, some humanoid, some Narsat in semicircles with datapads and translator nodes blinking softly. At the center stood Specialist Arvana, human telepath and council enforcer. He looked up as Zara and Jake entered, hand in hand. "Well," Arvan said, "I see the rumors were true." Jake cleared his throat. "If you're referring to the device incident, I'd like to file a formal confession of button-related recklessness." A few council members chuckled. Zara stepped forward. "The experiment triggered a bonding protocol between us. We tried to reverse it. We couldn't." Arvon tilted his head. "Are you saying you're now mentally linked?" Zara met his eyes. "Yes, and emotionally." Jake squeezed her hand. "Definitely." One of the Arcturian councillors buzzed. "This is highly irregular. Such bonds between species have never been recorded." Zara nodded. "Which is why it's valuable. The device works. It created what centuries of diplomacy couldn't. Empathy, real-time, cross-species, understanding." Another councillor leaned forward. "And you're proposing this? Bond was an accident." Jake smiled. "It started as one, but it became a choice." Specialist Arvon stepped down from his platform, approaching them. "If I may, I would like to confirm the connection. Myself?" Jake hesitated. Zara whispered, "Let him." We have nothing to hide. Jake nodded. Arven placed a hand on each of their temples. He closed his eyes. A moment passed. Then two. Then he gasped and staggered backward. Council members murmured. I felt it, Arven said, voice shaken. They're not just connected. Their emotions loop, echo. They amplify each other. He looked at Jake. You felt her pride in you. Then at Zara, and you felt his fear of failing you. Zara's voice cracked. That's true, Jake. Glanced at her. You felt that? She nodded, eyes glassy. And you? You were proud of me too. The council was silent. Then the Zelian ambassador stood. Her voice echoed in the chamber. I have never seen such raw interspecies alignment. Perhaps the humans are more compatible with the wider galaxy than we gave them credit for. Jake smirked. We tend to grow on people. Arven faced the council. My recommendation, do not classify this bond as a malfunction. Classify it as a breakthrough. Zara stepped forward again. Let us continue our work together. This bond wasn't forged in a lab. It was born in chaos, yes, but nurtured by choice, curiosity, and care. The chamber remained still for a beat. Then Admiral Tainer, the head of the research division, stood. Permission granted. The bond will be studied, but not interfered with. You may proceed, Dr. Zara. Commander Evans, together. Relief poured through both of them like a flood. Later, back in the lab, Jake leaned against the console, watching Zara sip her tea. So, now what? He asked. Zara smirked. Now we finish decoding the rest of the device. Jake stepped behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist. And after that, she leaned into him. I think we both know the answer. Their bond pulsed warmly between them, not as an accident anymore, but as something chosen. A new future, together.